One of the legends of golf, Arnold Palmer, has in all probability done more than anyone to glamorize the game and still has his legion of followers. He made modern tournament golf what it is today, dominating the sport in the late 50s and early 60s until he was knocked off the top perch by Jack Nicklaus. Arnie also amassed a fortune along the way through winnings and golf-related business ventures. In fact, it's been suggested the deterioration in his game was directly related to his emergence as a multi-million-dollar business enterprise. With his personality and flair for the dramatic, Arnie has remained a gallery favorite, and there are those who say he thinks the adulation is just fine. While he's never been accused of being a technically perfect golfer, Arnold Palmer has unquestionably been one of the most successful of the touring professionals. The pride of Latrobe, Pennsylvania, Arnold Palmer, is on the sports hot seat and facing our panel of Frank Rigney, CTV commentator, Gary Arthur, CBC Television, Calgary, and Bill Powers, CKXL Radio. I'm Russ Peake, and we're back after these messages with Arnie Palmer on the hot seat. Arnie Palmer is on the sports hot seat. Time to tee off on him. Here's Frank Rigney.
Well, I don't know if it's teeing off or not, Arnie, but one of the problems that golfers share in terms of being on the golf course is concentration. And I think that is something that bothers both amateurs and right up to the top level of golf. You're a person that's had to deal with it in spades because of the Arnie's Army and the following that you've had over the years. How do you handle concentration, and can you give the average amateur golfer some hints as to how he can concentrate better on a golf course?
Well, I think concentration, Frank, comes from a series of things. One, desire, and the ability to shut out the things around you. I always got with the gallery most of the time when I was playing and competing, but many times I've had people in the gallery that I knew quite well and would look at them and really never see them. At the same time, I'd be talking to someone else in the gallery I knew. So I suppose that even though I was doing a lot of things with the gallery, talking to them and so forth, my concentration was intense enough that, on the other hand, I wouldn't see a lot of people I knew. I think that your concentration also comes from just how much involved you are and what the bottom line is to you, how hard you want to do something.
Well, I'm sure that Arnie's Army concept has helped you over the years in having that great following, everybody cheering for you and pumping you up at the time when it's necessary. But are there any examples in the past where it's hurt?
Oh, not really. I think that there's always the instance where the John door is closing over here when you're about to make a putt and you look up to see what's happening, or they catch it right in the middle of your backswing with a camera or something like that. Again, I really can't think of many instances where my concentration has been affected by the gallery, more by my lack of concentration than by the gallery itself.
Arnie, hit it hard, go find it, hit it hard again. That's the style of Arnold Palmer that made him famous, but you haven't won for a long time. Could that style win for you again?
Well, I think that my game has been in a slump. Well, let's just say that I'm in a batting slump right now, and have been for some time. And I think that Frank talked about concentration. I think my concentration has been not nearly up to where it should be, and I think that has something to do with it, along with the fact that my swing is probably going through a stage of from a young man to, let's say, seniors golf, if you wish. And it may have affected me a little bit to where I have to make some changes in my game. And those
less aggressive? The go for broke style can't work for you anymore?
Of course, I think that if I get back to where I want to be in my golf game, I can still go for the game and go for broke, if you wish.
But do you think you can Can you really hope to win again on the regular Pro Tour, Arnie?
Oh, I certainly can, and I will. I can go to one instance this year where there was every reason in the world to think I should have won, and for a lot of reasons, none of which hold much water, and that is the LA Open, where I...
Yeah, you started very well there. That's right. But what about concentration at that time? Can you lose it because of the other things that you got going? You got to catch an airplane because you got to do a commercial for an oil company. You got to do a commercial for Arnie's Clothes. You got to do a commercial with OJ. Do you lose concentration with your game because of the business part?
Well, I can't really put up a great argument against that. I suppose that if it doesn't come back, those things I want there. And, and I like those things, all of them. On the other hand, I think that talking about my game and the basic fundamentals of my game, just recently in some photographs I noticed my head position was bad, and made just a slight change in that, and my posture at the golf ball had changed over the years and I hadn't noticed it. And so I think putting all those things together and getting in a position like I was in at LA, I think I can still win.
You can still win on the main tour. I don't think there's any question. But you got to remember that there's those younger guys like the Watsons and the Pates and the Crenshaws that are coming up, and you don't have an Arnold Palmer dominating anymore, although Tommy Watson did for a while. Johnny Miller had that run, or a Jack Nicklaus. There could be a different winner every week. There are more good golfers today, I mean excellent golfers like you were, than there were when you started in the mid-50s.
No question. I won't even argue that point. I don't think that any single individual is much better or as good as, but certainly, well, I say they are as good as, but I would say that they are not any better than the top guys 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years ago. On the other hand, there are a lot of them, and that is the reason for so many winners, as you have just stated. The fact that a man like Crenshaw, who is really a very fine player and a very good player, is having trouble winning. He's won once since this last week. He won the first time since 1980. We may hear more about him. But on the other hand, you have Lanny Watkins, and you have people like him, and you have Tom Watson, who is right now apparently having some problems. But I think that we will see him come back, and I still feel that even though we have so many good young players, I think that it is possible for a player to come back and make his presence felt, and maybe not in total domination, but certainly we will notice him and he will become a factor week in and week out.
Arnie, let's get back to the basic thing that any golfer has to have, the uniqueness that you had, and that's your golf swing. Or if we can, let's call it a slash, because a lot of people have looked at it and tried to analyze it. And of course, if you're proficient in the technical aspects of a swing, you are in the right positions at the right time, but it's certainly not a classic. It's not a Gene Littler swing. How would you develop that move at the ball?
Are you talking about my move at the ball?
Your move, yes.
Well, my father was probably my only instructor, really, in all the years as I was growing into the game of golf, and he had a motto, and that was go ahead and hit it hard. I changed some position at the golf ball early years. I hooked the golf ball an awful lot, and I can think of all the players that I've known who made changes in their game and modified their game to stop the hook, and I, whether it was a direct cause or indirect cause of my game coming around the way it did, was when I hooked the golf ball, and to stop that I started blocking it out. Well, realizing that early on that I wasn't going to be able to really stop the hook from that position, and changing my game to where I felt like I kept the club face from the takeaway right through the golf ball on the same line as the shot I was hitting. And of course that became my objective. At the top of my career, it worked very, very well. And of course I went from probably in the latter years when things started going downhill a little bit, I went from a closed or a square to a closed position and never really got the club opened up until after I had gone by the golf ball. And that has been one of my problems. And of course now, as I said earlier, to modify that slightly, to get back to hitting the golf ball the way I want to, I am trying to get the club open going back again, and that's been a bit of a problem.
Some of your critics said you not only didn't have a classic swing, they called you a gouger. Does that kind of criticism irk you a little, Arnie?
No,
Not
because
on the way to the bank.
no, it never really bothered me too much. I remember the first year I was on the tour, and one of the very prominent older players at that time watched me play, and as a matter of fact, he watched me play about 2 weeks prior to the Canadian Open. And this was in July of 1954, and 55, I beg your pardon, 55, and he commented to a very close friend of mine that Arnold Palmer won't be on the tour a year from now. Well, 2 weeks later, I won the Canadian Open with the record score, my best score thus far.
Arnie, we've heard a lot recently about Phil Rogers as a teacher, particularly helping Nicklaus and his chipping and so forth, and there are obviously some great teachers around the country, Toski, etc. Do you now, at this stage in your golfing career, go back to anybody except your dad?
Well, my father's, of course, passed away, so for the best part now, I use pictures of...
so you don't really use anybody as...
Well, probably one man who is the pro at Bay Hill Club in Florida, who is Dick Titty, and I have used him to talk about my game because he knew me when I was in college.
Is there a part of your game right now that you feel is just that much away from allowing you to win on the major tour again? In other words, chipping, putting?
Well, I think my short game has been very bad, and my iron game not good. The one part that has maintained a pretty good position throughout has been my driving. Right now I'm driving the ball as long as I did 10, 15 years ago.
Do you have to concentrate on a fuller turn in order to accomplish that at the older age?
Well, I'm certainly trying to start where I can get the club back further, yes.
Arnie,
He's not rickety just yet. Just excuse me, Gary. We'll have to take a break here, fellows, and we'll return after these messages with Arnie Palmer on the hot seat. Arnie Palmer is on the sports hot seat. You said earlier that you can still win on the regular pro tour. I doubt if you're being realistic. Arnie, you haven't had much success for some time. Aren't you, if you're honest with yourself, a seniors golfer now?
Well, I'm getting close to it, but I still think that there is the opportunity to win on the regular tour. And of course, I'm going to give this year a pretty good shot at it. And if it doesn't happen, then I will certainly take a look at what you've just said.
But age alone dictates against it, doesn't it?
Well, of
Not
course,
to suggest that you're ancient, exactly.
we set all kind of records in sports these days, and we see older people doing more things in other sports, baseball and football, and certainly golf is no exception. I don't see why, and I think Art Wall, as a matter of fact, won a golf tournament at age 54, a major tournament, the Milwaukee Open. And I think that it's possible. Sure, maybe he didn't have quite the field to play against that we do today, but I still feel very strongly about the fact that I can win on the regular tour.
You still shoot pretty well on the pro tour, but you shoot better on the senior tour. Do they set the golf courses up any easier for the seniors to try and get those scores? I'm thinking about an early in the year team thing where DiVincenzo, they just shot the lights out. Do they make the golf course any easier for the old codgers, so to speak?
Well, that golf course and that particular tournament you're talking about, they didn't do much to make it easier. As a matter of fact, they probably had it about as difficult as they could get it with the pin placements and so forth. It's not a particularly difficult golf course to start with. It's a fairly short golf course. But if I have a major objection to seniors golf, it is the fact that they set the golf courses up too easy. They move the tees up, they make the golf courses so that the guys that are getting older that can't hit it very far can reach the greens in two and get on and shoot lower scores.
Is that why you snubbed the seniors tour in a lot of ways?
Well, I wouldn't say I snubbed it. That's
well,
why
they say they created the 50-year-old age limit for Arnold Palmer so that they could get you there earlier.
I
so
didn't
that
play the
you
first
could win a game. And the first time you're going to appear in Canada is this year.
I didn't play at all the first one of the year I was 50. I played in one senior event that year, and that was the PGA Seniors, which I won.
Well, do you find it degrading to go up to the older guys?
Oh, no. Oh, they're the same people I've played with all my life. My major objection, again, is that they are making the golf courses, they shorten the golf courses, and that does not suit me. I think that it's a sporting event, and I think that the people that come out to see you want you to be challenged. And they
also want to see you hit it 300 yards, aren't they? Right?
They want to see you hit it, and they want to see you make mistakes. They don't want to see you play a golf course and shoot 66 because they've shortened it and they walk by and they say, gee, I play that tee back there.
Isn't it true, Arnie, on the seniors tour, though, if you're realistic, and I think I've done the last two seniors tournaments in Canada, that there's really only 8 or 10 of the competitors, and you can name them very quickly, that really have a chance of winning on the seniors tour. They dominate it almost completely.
Well, you'll find that changing, Frank. You'll see that changing now. We're getting a new bloodline into the seniors golf. Guys like Rod Funsett, who's
Miller Barber's not going to win them all.
Miller Barber. You're seeing guys coming in now that are Miller Barber is not going to win them all. Neither is Arnold Palmer. The same people that we played against before are coming into the seniors, and we're hearing of guys now that we never heard of before. Guys that just stayed younger. That are going to compete. And of course, I still feel, and I'd like to make this point, I still feel that it's a physical game. Along with being mental, it's physical. And I think that if you can hit it further and straighter, you should have an advantage. The same as you have an advantage if you can putt better.
But the older person is not going to be in as good a physical condition as the younger one. So the 50 and 51-year-old is going to have an advantage from the physical angle. But a guy who is 58 and 59, he can hit the ball like you hit the ball, or like even Kel Nagel hits the ball, or Bob Golby hits the ball. He's still got a chance, and he's not in as good a shape.
Well, I think that I'm in better shape than a lot of 50-year-olds. And I think that that's up to you as a person. I think you do that yourself. You either get yourself in shape but again, it's still a competition. If a football player is not in shape, and it doesn't matter whether he's 30 or 24, and the guy 40 comes along and knocks his head off, whose fault is that?
Is ego another reason that you're not anxious to move up to the senior level? Have you got a pretty good-sized ego, as some suggest, Arnie?
No, I don't mind moving into the senior ranks at all. As a matter of fact, I'm going to play in 1983 quite a few senior events. No, my ego has nothing to do with it. If I were winning regularly on the regular tour, the junior tour if you wish, I'd still play some senior events, because I think that the seniors tour has a place in golf, and in Canada and United States and in the world, as a matter of fact. I think that seniors golf very definitely has a place and should be played. And it's made a whole new life for a lot of senior golfers, and I think that it has brought a lot of entertainment back to the galleries that come out and watch the
Arnie,
seniors.
you have a good friend in Dave Marr, right?
Dave Marr?
Dave Marr?
Yes.
He says, and I quote, "Your ego is everything." Now, he's talking about the tour. "If you don't get that pumped up on a regular basis, you can't last or compete on the tour." You said that ego has nothing to do with the fact you don't want to play in the seniors tour and you want to play with the younger kids still?
Oh, I didn't say it. I didn't say that my ego doesn't have anything to do with my playing golf.
Well,
anywhere.
how is your ego holding up then?
Well, I'll tell you, it gets pretty shot down on the regular tour occasionally. But I agree with Dave. I think you must have an ego, and I think you have to be a little out here, away from everything else, and to play good and to win.
Was it a source of irritation to you when Nicklaus came along and supplanted you as the big draw and the big winner on the tour?
Well, I suppose it did, a little bit. I suppose that my ego was hurt a little bit when Nicklaus came along, and and started winning.
What's your relationship with him now?
Well, you won four team titles with him, have you not?
We've won a few titles,
Yeah.
and we play against each other. And
But you owned it until he came along, and it changed rather quickly, didn't it?
well, of course, it didn't change quickly. It hasn't totally changed yet. Sure, Jack has won a lot of tournaments, a lot more major tournaments, and has done very well. And I will not deny him anything he's done. I think he's a great player. I think he's done a great job, and I hope he continues to. And I would be silly to think that someone wasn't going to do that in my life anyway, whether it be Jack Nicklaus or Tom Watson or someone else. How do you think Nicklaus feels when Watson knocks him off constantly? He can't be irritated. He's got to recognize the fact that someone is going to do that. And I think you have to accept that. Within your own mind, you might not, but publicly, you don't gain a thing by saying, well, I won't accept that. I can still beat him, and I'm going to play better than he is. You're going to keep it in your own soul that you can still do it, and you don't have to publicly announce that, and you don't have to be bullheaded about it, but you have to go do it once in a while, too.
On
Arnie,
that
let's
note, we
talk
take a
for
final
just a
break.
minute.
Excuse me, Frank. We have to take a final commercial break. We'll be back after these messages with Arnie Palmer on the hot seat.
Arnie, you won an Open, the Masters more than once, the British Open, never the PGA. Frustrating?
I'm going to try this year.
Booze, broads, and bad putting. Is that still the crux of any ill fate that a golfer on the Pro Tour can suffer from?
Oh, I don't think that's really fair. I think that certainly it can affect your game, but you better be able to control it.
All three.
Arnie, what advice would you leave us with for the average amateur to really enjoy the game of golf?
Oh, I think get good instruction from a PGA professional and practice. Good, solid, concentrated practice.
Thank you.
Arnie, they say you're ever grinning, ever gracious, and you have been again. Thanks so much, and good luck to you in the future.
Thank you, Russ.
Arnold Palmer. Thanks, too, to our panel of Frank Rigney, Gary Arthur, and Bill Powers. I'm Russ Peake. Join us next week for the Sports Hot Seat.